Welcome ESL to ESL Trackside, a special edition as we are in the bye week of the season after race three. Um, we have a bye week, so we're gonna discuss and go around the league and just talk about where the teams are at right now and what kind of expect moving forward. I have Rhett here,
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back.
so let's start off with the power rankings and let's get this show going.
All right. Well, did you want to start with the road series first, since it's the one with the fewest series?
Yeah, let's kick it off with that.
All right. So let's start from last time we did this, we went from top to bottom. Let's go bottom to top this time. So first, with the score of 12, we had Can-Am Racing. Apex comes in seventh with 11.250. Lost City comes in sixth with 11.125. Delusions of Grandeur comes in at fifth with 10.125. And you got a little bit of a step up here with the Brew Crew in fourth at 8.375. Desperado Racing comes in at third with 8.125. And then another little step up as your reigning champs, trying to defend their title. Low Fuel sits in second with a even sixth. And NLR is off to a solid start this season, sitting in first at a 4.125 rating.
Now, off of your expertise in doing these ratings for quite a few seasons, what kind of stands out so far as like teams that you didn't expect to be where they at in the road series?
In the road series, I think the biggest surprise as I take another look through here is actually Desperado sitting in third. They've been a team that's had some success throughout the seasons, but it's never been a consistent success throughout the season. It's been they've shown flashes. They've dominated a week and won a week here and there. They've won a bunch of races, but to see them sitting in third in the power rankings is actually, I'm pretty sure that's their highest in the road power rankings we've seen them so far.
Yeah, I mean, one guy that I feel is like such a sleeper in the road series in the GT3 is Chris Webber. I mean, last
Mm-hmm.
season, man, he was off the charts last season, and I forgot how many races he won, but I think it was like four or five. It was up there.
Yeah,
Um, and he's off to another solid start with 2 wins. I mean, this guy, I think he's figured something out in the GT3 series because he's usually in that top three most of the weekend. I mean, he's leading the standings right now, but we could address him later. Um, if you want to go from bottom to the top, and we could just do a quick overview of each team. Um, and we could start with that. What's the team in the bottom?
of the road series,
Yes, for the rankings.
it's Can-Am. They didn't have a team in MCA last season since we had an A and B series. They brought a bunch of rookies into the B series. So this year they're stepping up to the MCA series. It's the obvious step up in competition from what was more of a rookie series last year is got them down here in eighth.
Yeah, I feel like they're still trying to piece things together over
Yep.
there. I mean, they're slowly getting there. They've made um, little small strides here and there.
hmm
Um, I see them getting it together, hopefully in the next few seasons.
Yeah, I do too. David Stone was one of the best drivers in MCB last year. I'm pretty sure he came close. He was like second or third, and I want to say V8s. It was off the top of my head. I could be wrong, but he was right up there with one of the series he was driving in MCB. Um, so yeah,
We have next up.
Apex, a surprise team down in the bottom here. Apex Predator Racing. They're sitting in seventh. It's if you look at their series, you have Eagles sitting in third here in the hybrid series, but everything else is their other three series are sixth, sixth, and eighth.
Yeah, that definitely is surprising to see them seventh there, 122 back um, from the lead. We'll see if what adjustments they made in this big progression period, and see what they can do the rest of the way.
Yeah, hope I'm sure they'll turn it around. They've always been a strong team in the road series. I think they've been getting a little unlucky, so I think they'll come back.
Yeah, I think so too. They have a pretty good program over there, um, and they do have a lot of money. So we'll see when they decide to, you know, start burning that up. And since a lot of teams they really broke the bank so far this season. Um, so yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Who you have at number 6?
Six, we got the rookie team, Lost City Racing. They have a couple spots, in the bottom two, but then they have a couple spots where they're in the top half of the standing. So they've been a surprise so far.
Yeah, I mean, they've really been. I feel like they've really been working hard at it. Um,
Hmm.
and it's definitely tough um, in the beginning to kind of like get things figured out. Um, but they've definitely been putting in the work, so I definitely see them moving up as we go here.
I agree. And the team that's leading, I want to say there's like a couple tier breaks here in the power rankings where there's a decent gap in points. So the fifth spot here is leading uh, their tier is Delusions of Grandeur. They have an outstanding driver over in Arthur Porter in the LMP series, uh, but the road series has not been a strong suit for them so far in the first season and 3 weeks that they've been around as a team.
Yeah, I mean DOG. I mean that's another team that's trying to figure things out. I mean
Hmm.
they're under 100 points, which is not. I mean 92 points back, which is not bad. I mean there's still plenty of races to go. Um, so they could definitely easily start uh,
Yeah,
cutting into the lead. Um, but yeah, they definitely have shown some flashes. That is for sure.
we know they have pace in them because we see how they do in the Oval series. So it's just about finding the differences to the road series and tweaking them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And who we have next at number 4?
Four, four, we have like the third and fourth. We have the mid pack tier. Here we got Brew Crew sitting at number four. It's another team that's sort of similar to DOG. They have a couple really good drivers and a couple drivers that have had some unlucky starts to the season. But Brew Crew is sitting at four.
Yeah, I mean we know what they could do. I feel like they're also a team that is like, man, they're like right there. You know,
Hmm.
just a little bit more, and they get over that hump. They always like flirting around that line.
Hmm.
They just got to take that one more step. I feel. Um, but we'll see how it plays out for them. That is for sure. Who we have at number 3? I think we talked about them already.
I did. Leading this mid pack tier, we got Desperado Racing. As you've already mentioned him, Chris Webber. Coming out the gates, winning the first 2 weeks. But then their other series are all pretty much top half series as well. So their other drivers aren't slacking so far through the first quarter of the season.
Yeah, those guys. I mean, that's another team that I feel is right there. It's like, I feel like their road program is pretty strong too.
Mm.
Um, they just sometimes have bad luck as well. But I think in a matter of time, that'll all change. So, um, yeah, we'll see what they produce moving forward.
I feel like the last three teams we've listed have all been teams that are right there, and we're just waiting for them to take the step up to join, the Apexes. And even though the Apexes had a rough start to the season, but Apex and the other top two teams we have.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And who we have at number two?
Well, we have yours truly, Low Fuel Racing, sitting in number two. And if you look at the series standings, the way they shake out, it's hard to see why they aren't number one except for when you look at their hybrid series, they've had really bad luck there.
Yeah, yeah, we've definitely have our ups and downs. I feel like last year uh, we had a lot of luck, as far as incidents and all these things. Um, and you need a little bit of both. You need the skill and that luck.
Hmm.
And sometimes when that luck's not going good, you know, things go south pretty fast. And I feel like with these repair fees now, I feel that make it has such a big impact now.
Yep.
Um, that if you take a hit, like we took a hit, like the first week or two, and that really set us back as how much you can spend, and you just really have to be careful. Um, so yeah, we'll see um, how it plays out for low fuel.
Yeah.
And, f-
And like I said, they look good because they have two. They're leading two of the four series in the road series. So
and finally, the number one team.
number one team, it's the my team here. It's Northern Lights Legends Racing. We made a change, a branding change, and it seems like we've finally got that bad juju that we've been having the last couple seasons off our back.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had a solid start so far, and man, 4 wins, that's something great, and you've been just being consistent. You have a 34-point lead. I feel like the top three are pretty close. 66 is something
Hmm.
that's definitely um, somebody could climb into pretty quick, especially if like a team has just a bad week. You know,
Yeah.
um, things could definitely flip around in multi-class.
I mean,
Uh,
we also did get a little bit lucky when we look at last week. It's a track that has always like suited our uh, our cars. Daytona, we won three of our four. We got three of our four wins last week alone because it is a track that we've had a lot of prior success on, and it's something that I guess we always find the right setups for.
yeah, once we hit those little kind of tracks with more, turns and the tracks are a little shorter, things get pretty wild sometimes. Um, but yeah, I'm curious. I mean, we next week, uh, we're at a track we never raced before. Um, so that's gonna be interesting too. New tracks that we never raced before. You never know what you're gonna get the first time around. So that should be interesting how that plays out.
I agree. This is something I'm curious to see. As you said, we've never been there before. I do think this next quarter of the season, next 3 weeks, it's looking kind of tough.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting uh, how everything looks in a few weeks. Let's jump over to the oval side.
All right, let me get back over to my power rankings real quick. So, in eighth place to start it off, we have Lost City Racing, the rookie team, sitting at 130.542. Desperados in seventh at 123.617. Can Am is in sixth at 109. Delusions of Grandeur is in fifth at 103.950. Apex sits in fourth, 96.433. Low Fuel sits in third, 93.358. Brew Crew sits in second so far at 83.3. And NLR sits atop at number one at 67.858.
All right, so let's start from the bottom up, just like we did the road series.
So starting from the number 8 spot, we got Lost City, rookie team. They have had some struggles, but they've also had some success, like in the 1987 series where they won the first 2 weeks. So they have two drivers already in the 1987 playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising, but not surprising, because they have been putting in the work, um, and they already have 2 wins, which is second most as among teams. The top team has 4 wins. Um, so they just need to put together that consistency. Um, I think that's going to be key for them moving forward.
hmm I mean, we find a lot of rookie teams come in with this system and have similar struggles in the beginning of the season trying to catch up because teams already are pretty established and have this extra wiggle room above them. But I'm hoping to see a similar close on the season like a team like DOG did last season and was really competitive at the end.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, we'll see what they can do in the next 3 weeks, and we'll reassess where they're at. Who's up next?
Up next in the 7th spot is Desperado. Um, it's across the board. They're sitting in 6th in all three series. Um, so they've had a little bit of a tough start to this season compared to some of the prior season.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they just seem to. I mean, sometimes they have flashes,
hmm
but sometimes they just seem to struggle on oval for whatever reason. Um,
They almost got a playoff driver last week when they had both the second and third were hard charging at the end on new tires.
yeah, I mean, like I said, like they have flashes, like they have the fast cars. Um, it always comes down to, that consistency, and it's just trying to put it all together. Um, but if they could figure a few things out, man, they definitely will be um, in the mix in the future. Yeah, who's up next?
In the 6th spot, we have Can-Am. Uh, they're sitting here, and I did want to take a little bit of credit for this. I said to watch out for their Legend series because they performed really well in the preseason. And so far, with their Legends series sitting in 4th, it has them actually boosted up to 6 here, even though they don't have a full roster as they're still going through the rebuilding phase.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's another team that, even though they're shorthanded,
Yep.
you could tell they have fast drivers.
Oh yeah.
And I feel once they keep continue to add these teams, add to their team, they'll just keep getting better. Um, they just need to have a few drivers that are willing to stay dedicated to the team. I think that's their biggest thing. Um,
Yep.
all right, who's up next?
Up next, the team we touched on a little bit earlier, uh, Delusions of Grandeur. They're sitting pretty even across the board. They're 4th in both the NASCAR Next Gen Series in 1987, but they're 5th in Legends.
Yeah, and I mean they're not doing bad. I mean they're currently
No.
fifth, um, and this is only their second season.
hmm
They had a little turnover, but they picked up some solid drivers. So I mean I think they're sitting pretty good. Uh, yeah, so I mean I think they're really getting their program together, as you've seen, like in the last few races, like they've had like 3, 4 cars in the top 10. Um,
Yep.
so they're definitely onto something, So I think it's a matter of time before they make a breakthrough.
Yeah, if you look at the Next Gen Series, they have a driver that's currently, it's early, but they're currently sitting very, very comfortably in the playoff picture, and then the other four drivers are right there as well. So they have the speed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Um, who you have next on your rankings?
Next, another former champ in the Oval Series. We're looking at Apex Legends or Apex Predator Racing. Um, they have had a bit of an unlucky start in both Next Gen and 1987, but they are also the only team, or one of only. No, they are the only team. Let me rephrase this. They are the only team in the Legend Series to have all their drivers qualify for the feature race every week.
Man, I mean, I'll tell you what, that Legend Series, um, it's an extreme wild card. Um, and I feel as the season keeps, the deeper we get into the season, the harder it's going to be to make that featured race.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I see next week things are going to be start to get very interesting. Um, and it's these heats are going to get so much more competitive. I've no, they've been competitive already. I mean, don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, but you know how it is. Like once teams start dumping these points and drivers start getting that first progression wave in, things start to mix up a little bit. Um, so I mean, from
Yep.
what they've done so far, that's not easy to make that featured race all the time.
No, it's been tough as some teams have found out each week to week here. They had all their drivers in the feature race the next week, and all of a sudden they're only on one the week afterwards. It's the heat system is been enjoyable but yet tough.
Yeah, it's been some. It's exciting, nerve-wracking at the same time. You know, especially for an owner. You just like want to see all your drivers make the featured race.
Yep.
Um, but you also know that you don't know where what heat your driver's gonna land, what type of competition they're up against. There's a lot of factors to try to make that featured race. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be wild the deeper we get into this. Um, yeah, we'll see. Who you got next on in your
Uh,
rankings?
uh, in the three spot, we have the defending champs again because they won both series last year in a dominant fashion. Low fuel racing. It's been they've been really good in the Legend series and they've been good in the Next Gen series as they were last year. They're sitting top three in both, but they're not having the same successful start in the 1987 series.
No, they've definitely been struggling. Um, and a lot of some of it's been just incidents.
Hmm.
We haven't been able to get away from that. Like we have the, I think we've paid the most repair fees, or pretty close, 600 grand so far. So,
Oof.
that's basically a top tier package in buying points.
Yep.
That's if you look at it points wise, that's 20 points that you cannot use because you lost that money. So, um, repair fees hurt. Um,
That is true.
and I mean, it's good because it just makes owners really think much harder.
Yeah.
Should I spend? What should I do? Um, and we've seen that this season so far. It's been pretty crazy as far as spending goes. Now, who we have next?
Sitting in the two spot, no surprise here really because we now have two NASCAR series. We have the Brew Crew sitting there, top of both Next Gen and 1987 series, but they have not had able to figure out the Legend series like they have the NASCAR series yet.
Yeah, I mean they're always, we know what they could do in NASCAR. Um, and I think
Whether past or present now.
yeah, and we talked about this before. If they could put that knowledge that they have in NASCAR and put it in each series, they're gonna be somebody to watch out for. Um, and they're in second right now by 137. Um, and as we know, leads can shrink pretty fast. Um, because so much can happen, you know. Uh, but yeah, they're off to a good start this season for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, not a surprise with two NASCAR series now.
Yeah. All right, and last we got.
Last, similar to the Road Series, we have NLR Legends Racing sitting in number one. It's been a good start to the season for us. We've been able to dominate is not maybe not the right word yet, but we've been looking really strong in the Legend Series, and I think that's where we made our gap so far to begin the season.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, y'all have dominated some races, that's for sure. You got 4 wins. The next closest team is Lost City with 2 wins, and they're in seventh in the standing. So, but you guys have been very consistent, you know. So, and that's the name of the game in this league. Um, that's why I always say it. I think I sound like a broken record by now, but it's so true, you know. Like I think if everyone can't, you really don't want to focus. You want to win, but that's not shouldn't be your main focus. The wins will come if you're consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that's just the name of the game. It's just getting those good finishes. Sometimes wrecks happen, things happen. I mean, that's out of your control. Um, but as long as you continue to try to stay consistent, I think that's what you have to do.
Oh yeah, consistency is by far the key. I mean, and it's easiest to point out too is you look at the two NASCAR series, and we just touched on the Brew Crew, but they don't have any wins yet this season in either series, but yet they're sitting with decent gaps to start the season as the points favorites in both series.
Yes, that's just a perfect example. It's like you don't have, the Brew Crew don't have wins, but they're in second place. Um,
Yep.
and those wins will come in time,
Oh yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so just being consistent. Uh,
Yep.
that's the thing. Um, let's go over. We still have a few minutes. Let's go over the standings. Let's start with the legends. Um, for the driver standings. I'm just gonna go to the top three or the top four, depending how close it is. And first we have OJ Alberga. I think I'm saying that right.
I think that's how it is.
Chris Harvey second, Eagle Mondavi third, and Bobby Brownstone fourth. What you think about
Yeah.
those drivers there?
I mean, obviously, as a team owner of three of the drivers, I love what we see here in the Legend Series. And it's just been one of those things where you make it to the heats, you get good heats finish, you know, consistently making it to the heats and getting good finishes in the feature race is what is going to be the key here. I mean, because if you miss 1 week of feature race, that could be some big points the other drivers pull on you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So OJ has the lead by 4. Uh,
Hmm.
then it's Chris Harvey. He's their second. Eagles down by 6, and Bobby's by 8. So it's tight. Tanner Pitts is 22nd, which is still close.
22 points behind.
And uh, David Stone is in 6, and he's only been in 2 featured races. So he has been coming on as of late. So we'll
Hmm.
see what he could do. And he's tied with Justice Blackwell with the most laps led so far in a featured race. So um, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. It's still pretty tight in the legends. Let's jump over to the 1987 NASCAR standings. So far, we have DJ Hugh won a race. He is currently in 18th, but he's locked in. Evan Ethel won a race. He's locked in. He's in 7th. Juan Fangio is in 9th, and he also won a race. Noble Thomas Noble, Reside, and Gunny are your top three in that
Yeah,
series.
yeah. I think it's interesting to point out that as we were just talking about consistency, our the top drivers in 1987. No, there are no wins there, but they're all in the top.
Yeah, and that's what you need, especially if you don't get that win in 8 races. It's gonna be by points, and you don't want to be sitting in that cut line because right now there's like four drivers that are like four or 5 points apart. So that's gonna be
Hmm.
if you fall into those teens, it's gonna be very tough to get into the playoffs. Um, and you're gonna need a lot of luck on your side. So that's definitely not a situation you want to be in.
Yep.
Um, let's move over to the next gen series. Um, Ace Blade, he locked in a spot. Um, he's in third. Freddie Tramel's locked in. He's in 10th. Doug Britton won last week. He is in 11th. And those are your three drivers that are locked in so far. And Kyle Storm, he is your points leader. Second is Axel Raven. Uh, third is Ace Blade, but he's locked in. Fourth, Amelia Rose. And fifth, Andrew Green.
Yep.
And
I think a couple things to point out here, real quick, is with these series that have stages, uh, drivers like Axel Raven and Tyler Commander, who's in sixth, they are showing that stage points can be a huge boost because they haven't necessarily finished as high as the other drivers have consistently, but with those extra stage points, they've boosted themselves up the standings.
yeah, and I mean, Axel Raven has 46 stage points, and that is the most in that series. So
Yep.
right there, that tells you. And Kyle Storm has 32. Um, and Tyler Commander has 41. He's in six, but those 41 stage points have been big for him. You know,
Hmm.
um, so yeah, those stage points are huge. You definitely, you know, um, want to at least get something every race, because that's just gonna help you uh, move up. And last season's champion, he started off pretty rough. I mean, right now he's sitting at 28th, um, with only 9 stage points. So he's got his work cut out for him. Um,
Yep.
but I mean, if you win a race, you get in. So there's that too. But it's just extremely difficult in this series to win a race. So
Oh yeah.
when you get into that victory lane, I mean, just celebrate because you never know when you're gonna be back into victory lane again. It could be a few seasons. I mean, we've seen it, you know. Um, that's why winning in this league is such a big thing because you just never know when you're gonna win again because it's just so competitive. So um, yeah, we'll see who locks in next week. I mean, we're going to a road course, and a road course we never raced at, so um, that's definitely gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good race. And those races usually crazy things happen. Um, so we'll see who can get a road win next week.
Yep.
Let's jump over to got only a few minutes left, but let's go to multi-class and let's start off with the BMW class. We have Doug Britton. He's been having a solid season, 2 wins already. He's in first. The closest guy to him is Gunny and Eagle. They're both behind by 25, but Gunny has a win to his name. So, what you think about the BMW overall? It's a new car for us. I think it's actually been an exciting class to watch.
It really has been. We have some of our best road drivers in our league sitting in the BMW, and it's been a great show with the new car. It's been I think it's brought a lot more excitement to the race because having a faster car instead of a slower car in the series has made it less traffic heavy. Even though traffic still plays a major part, but it's not as bad, but it's still an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely the BMW has definitely just made it more even more fun, you know, to watch. Let's go over to the LMP class. We have Justice Blackwell. It's his first time driving in this class. He is in the lead. He's got one win. Um, Arthur Porter, he's second from DOG. He's got a win as well. He's down 6 points. Axel Raven's down 7 points. And DJ Hume is down 8 points. So this series is a lot more tighter in the top four.
Yeah, this is our tightest series so far. Well, not so far. I mean, yeah, so far, but also by far. Uh, with one bad race by any of these drivers can throw the whole thing in there. I mean, you get what, a 7 point gap just for winning a race over second place.
Yeah,
So
it's a
I
big
mean,
thing. And if you
it
don't
doesn't even need a bad race here.
and if you wreck out and get no points,
Yep.
and that person wins, they just gain 25 points on you. So, yeah, there's still a lot that can happen here. GTE Adam Jones leads the way. He's got 2 wins. Ace Blade in second. He's got 1 win. He's down by 9. And then Andrew Green, he hasn't won yet, but he's only down 17 points.
It's been another good series to watch. Uh, with Adam winning 2 races, I'm surprised the gap's not a little bit bigger than it is. But so far, Low Fuel and Adam Jones has been looking like the stars of GTE.
Yeah, I mean last season he did well too. We're hoping the same this season. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how if he can continue to stay consistent or not with these tracks coming up and some tracks we've never raced on. So we'll see how that goes. Next and the final class is GT3. Chris Webber already with 2 wins. Um, and second is Justin Chris. He's down by 7 points. He has a win as well. And Eweezy is in third, and he has no wins, and he is down by 16 points.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to point out in this one. There's actually two interesting stats I want to talk about real quick here. Uh, Chris Webber, 2 wins in the class, but no poles. Just the second and third place drivers have the poles for this series.
That's an interesting stat.
But also, he's also the driver that's had the most incidents per race at 2.67, which more than doubles any other driver in the series. But yet he still has somehow gotten 2 wins.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if it was the last race or the race before that where he had a mangled car. It was pretty damaged, and he still finished like top 3 or 4. It was something like that. It was something crazy. Um, but it looked like he was out of it. Somehow there he was at the end. Like that was, yeah. I forgot what race that was, what week that was. But like I said, last season this guy, I think he had 5 wins, but I'm not too positive on that. But he's like off to the same start, and he already has 2 wins in 3 weeks. So um, let's see what he can do. Um,
Yeah.
at this pace, if he keeps it up, he has a chance to beat a record easily. Um,
From what I'm looking at here, it was last week because he finished fourth. But when I look at the start and finishing positions here, he actually probably has the biggest plus minus for a driver yet because he has a start in fifth place and a start in eighth place, and he won from fifth and he came fourth from eighth. Even though, like you said, he hit a couple cars that spun out in front of him and had a pretty damaged car.
yeah, I think that was the week because it shows he had a 4 incident. So yeah, usually fours. a pretty hard hit. Um, yeah, so I mean, we'll see what he does the rest of the way. It's gonna be interesting to watch, that's for sure. And that wraps up your multi-class. Um, I don't know if you have any thoughts or anything on what you think, how things might play out in the next few weeks.
Um, Really, I'm just looking for these new courses we're gonna get to run on. We've already touched a little bit on Magny Cores over in multi-class. We're hitting Barber with the NASCAR series. Um, the Charlotte infield road courses for the Legends, I'm interested in. So I think we got some nice tracks coming up. It's been a good first 3 weeks, but I'm excited to see how each team's and driver in particular how their first progression window changes things up.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing I look forward to is that first big wave, um, and just seeing like, what drivers and teams made the correct adjustments, where to put their points. And yeah, Legends is gonna be interesting, for
Yeah,
road.
I think that's the biggest series that's going to show with the progression.
Um, I think it is the infield, but I think it's the small road
It's medium, it says.
medium. Yep, and then the next one will be the large one, which is
Hmm.
a little longer. So yeah, so it's gonna be, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Um, so I think everybody one might be on road this week, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Yeah. So yeah,
because
it's
Charlotte medium and Magni, not Magni, Barber for both 87 and next gen. So it's road course week.
yeah, it's road course week. So yeah, we'll see who has that road course speed. You know, yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to those same things as well, and we'll probably get back together in a few weeks for the next bye week, and we'll go over, you know, the same things and kind of compare where everyone was at from this time to the next time. Um,
Yeah,
so it's been good going over these teams and the power rankings and uh, just good to see where people are at and kind of
yeah.
how far they've gone since the start of the season. Um, but we'll be back in a few weeks and we'll see how everything shakes out. I appreciate Rhett for coming on the show,
Mm, Thanks for
um,
having me.
and everyone that supports the league and watches the streams. Appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time.